Hey there guys, it's Metro, and unfortunately we're no longer raiding on either guild on the Anathema server, whatever, Nostalgious PvP, whatever it was at the time. I used to raid on two separate guilds, which, obviously was probably a bit too ambitious, one on Alliance and Horde. And now I raid on neither, so I've become quite the casual, but I get a lot of questions about what happened with the Alliance Guild, so I figured I'll get even more questions about the Horde Guild, so we'll just make a video on it, and that'll be that. And then we'll discuss what that means for this channel and the server and stuff moving forward. So the Alliance Guild we'll start with. Now, you guys watch this unfold. If you're not like here when this happened, like a lot of you guys didn't join until I kind of got blown up by YouTube. You missed. There's a couple like about a week before. They're all on the VODs that you can watch. I kind of joined this PugZG. Well, I was in the guild at the time, but it's really inconsequential. I just joined it because I did a sunken temple with some guy who said his guild was recruiting. So I'd been in the guild for a while, was streaming in it, didn't even realize I was in it really. And then, they said they're doing ZG, and I was like, dude, I love ZG. So we went in there, and as it's kind of become a guild or a stream meme at this point, but we basically didn't kill a boss. We didn't even pull a boss, actually. We were in there for over 4 hours, and we didn't pull a boss. We pulled one boss once, and it was the bat boss as well, which is hilarious. We pulled the bat boss and wiped like 5 seconds into the pull. So, we didn't get anything out of it. And all the while I was in there, everybody in the chat, at the time there wasn't as many people, but the people in the chat were like, oh my God, just leave these fucking retards. These guys should die. It was like, being really aggressive. And at the time, I had no reason to distrust any of them. And I particularly liked the vocal leadership, okay? And so at the time, that was, the Paladin and the Warlock, who I'll name because he's important, Waffle Bombo, okay? He's a viewer now, and him and I have, had some type of conversation over the past, and I consider him a friend. So I really enjoyed his style of leadership, and, I could tell from the get-go that these two and, the other people who were in there were people that I wanted to raid around on a classic server, because prior to this, I always found a lot of, non-American, non-English speaking, non-fluent, and a lot of ignorance in types of mechanical, explanations and situations, and mostly a lot of complaining. That was the issues I had with the guilds I was in on Nostalgious when it was actually Nostalgious. And that was something I really wanted to avoid this time around. A lot of people always complained about everything. Oh, the server's so unblizz-like. Oh, this is so bugged. Oh, this is so overtuned. Oh, this is so undertuned. Oh, that. And these guys were just, they accepted that they were bad and that we couldn't find a tank for this run, and that, when we wiped and all this stuff on trash, that it was our mistakes and not the servers and not anybody else's. So I immediately fell in love with that. Now, flash forward weeks later, you guys watched a lot of my stream and raid there, so it's not even that much to talk about. But Waffle Bombo and Lawduck, the Paladin, they had, I guess, some type of disagreement, and I saw it happen, basically. It happened probably in private, but I remember it happening because all of a sudden, they were like, all right, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, we're going to stop now. And everybody gets real quiet. So you can tell that people are talking in private. That's just, I've been around that situation too much to not see it. And yeah, they clearly had some type of argument. And then the next day we raided MC. Waffle was there. And then the day after that we raided something else, and he was no longer there. And then, in the stream, he came in to tell me about him leaving, and one of the other guys who was watching the stream regularly at the time told me that he had deleted his character. So this was before Waffle came in. I was like, what the fuck? He deleted his character? But regardless, he came in to tell me that he's not going to play there, and he wanted to start fresh, basically, like when the fresh start had launched anyway. So he's like, I have a good idea. I'm going to just play like a character I've never played before, basically. So I thought he was serious about deleting his character, but I think to this day he would refute that. But regardless, he won't ever play in that guild again. So frankly, that was a big part of me not raiding with them anymore. He was a major reason why I loved it. Now, there's nothing wrong with the team or leadership as is. They are still very, very good, and I would still raid there to this day if I had the time. But unfortunately, the number 2 reason why I can't raid there anymore is because they just don't seem to care much about structure. And this is kind of the, we're going to talk about this coming up, but the structure of this guild was honestly terrible. It was the worst, probably the worst structure I've ever seen about a guild that had the potential to be good. They literally just raid whenever the fuck they want, it appears. And now they're on they've been on West Coast obviously, but now they're trying to raid more and more days, or just random days. Like I log on the other day. So about 2 weeks ago I log on and they're talking about raiding Wednesday now. At the start they were raiding Mondays, like the weekends, Mondays and Thursdays. I think the first raid I went to was a Monday, second raid I went to was a Thursday, third one was a Saturday or something like that. So I can do that. That's easy. I can do that easy. But then they started raiding basically 3 days that I can't raid because they're West Coast. So they're trying to get me to stay up till 3 a.m. on Sundays. And then they changed it to Wednesday as well. There's a Wednesday raid. It's like I can't, I have work. You guys know Mondays and Thursdays are my hardest days of the week because I have work at 8 a.m. and work very late. So work usually about 10 to 12 hours a day on those 2 days. So it's difficult for me to stay up to 3 a.m. prior, then wake up after 4 hours sleep and go to work and work for 12 hours. So I was like, listen, I can't raid these days. Why do you keep switching your raids? And they're just like, yeah, no, we're going to just, all this. So I don't know. And then, I log on recently and they got raids planned for Fridays again, for Saturdays again. I just don't even know what the hell they're doing, to be honest. So if anybody's watching from that guild, I apologize, man. You guys are awesome. I really enjoyed my time there, and I would still continue to do so. Absolutely, no reason not. But it's just, if there's one thing, to criticize on is like, you gotta set the times, man. I should join the guild, and I think this is really indicative of this because when people spam for the guild recruitment, they say raids take place at a time. They don't say which days in the guild recruitment thing, and that is really indicative of the problems there, guys. Like, it's not. That's so silly. You can't fucking do that, man. You really cannot. So if you're going to raid, especially in a private server, you have to be very, very well organized, and they simply were not, especially with their time. So that's the Alliance Guild. Now let's talk about the Horde Guild. So the only reason I was even in the Alliance Guild was because at first I wanted to raid on my Druid. I had the idea that I would gear up in MC and be able to use some of the off pieces to tank with, and that was kind of like the plan for my Druid. So when I was looking for guilds, I started on Horde, obviously, and I found a guild that seemed to be almost ideal. I talked only in whispers to the GM at the time, and he seemed to know exactly what he needed to say, and everything seemed to be good. They were going to raid on Saturdays and Sundays, only 6 hours a week, and I was like, "Ooh, there we go. That sounds good to me." So immediately that schedule, I assumed, I thought I was getting something that I didn't get, first of all. So I brought things up like, oh, great. So, well, it's a nice, casual, low commitment situation. And I should have known from the get-go. The reaction that I got from that was like a very, very, like, I don't know, very aggressive and like, if you want that, go join one of these other shit guilds out there or something like that. And I was like, I guess we got off on the wrong foot here. I just meant like, it's 6 hours a week, very low commitment. So that, that's what I expected. When you raid 6 hours a week, I don't expect to have to play another 12 hours a week just to be capable, So unfortunately, we'll talk about that in a second. But regardless, as soon as you guys watched the guild meeting thing, that was another, that was kind of like the first thing, the first real interaction we had with anybody in the guild. And a lot of people, like to this day, I'm still going to defend them, guys. So there's a lot of people who are like, oh my God, just leave this guild immediately from that meeting. And that meeting especially was nothing. I really don't, people were really overreacting because of the way things were being said. But I immediately was, I found myself adhered to how organized things were. And we already had what I can see to be the major issue with the previous guild solved. There was structure. All these people had played together already. A lot of them, like at least half of them, maybe more, had played together already. They all seemed quite, funny and serious about it. And sure, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I really can't stand racism. I absolutely hate it. And it sucks to have to sit there and swallow it. And that's the one thing that really did agitate me over the weeks while I was streaming. People would be like, "Oh my God, it's like I can't believe he's being racist," and I have to sit there and be like, "Oh, dude, it's just a word." But I don't like it. I don't understand why anybody who's not, who would say that, especially in the climate that we're in the United States. I'm not an apologist. I'm not somebody who's going to make apologies. But when you're using racist terms like that without any representation of the race that you're insulting, it's just embarrassing. It makes you look unintelligent. to be honest. Like, it's not a word when you use it the way they're using it. It's an insult. And to insult people without them having any representation, I think is really silly. So that was one of the things that I thought, like, well, if this is the worst that we're going to have to deal with, then that's totally fucking fine, because, I'm around people who are that type of racist, not necessarily that degree, all the time. You know what I mean? People who make jokes and stuff like that. But the way it was presented to me in a lot of the context here was like it was actual hatred of the situation the word obtained. But anyway, regardless of that, that's not any one reason that I would leave that guild. But it was something that I should have known from the get-go that I would clash with. And I didn't want that to be a point of contention, because it's really not something I've ever brought up before. But anyway, so yeah, you saw that, and I was like, all right, great. These guys are structured. We'll get it done 6 hours a week. Seems, so I should have really known that when they were that structured for 6 hours a week, that there was going to be some kind of fucking catch, right? So almost immediately, I think the first raid went well. I can't remember exactly how it went. Like, it went well in terms of actual, like, playing and streaming. I had switched to my shaman almost exclusively for the guild. I was already considering it, but I'd leveled it. You guys know how that fucking fiasco went. I got ganked for like 10 hours straight. So looking back on this, man, fuck all this. I cannot believe I wasted 10 hours getting ganked for that nonsense. But unfortunately, that's how it went. And, then we raided, and I was undergeared. I told everybody I was undergeared. I think I made that abundantly clear. People still don't seem to understand that. I basically leveled the character and didn't get any help with any dungeon, despite people saying that they would help me. And the only gear I have is basically from the auction house. Every piece of gear that is good on my character, I purchased myself with gold. So that's an unfortunate thing. But, raid starts, and I'm still, one of the least geared players, but I'm struggling to learn the class, struggling to play well. And all the, things are going whatever. We're wiping over and over again to bosses that basically have no mechanics. It's difficult. Like, it's easy for me to say, I know a lot of people will think that it's difficult to actually lead groups in Classic. I will agree 100%. And a lot of people, that was the biggest criticism. People were trying to criticize the Guildmaster, and that is the guy that to this day I will defend to the death. He is an awesome guy. He and I have spoken 4 times now privately, basically. And he has really revealed that he and I have a lot in common. Now, I know a lot of people see me as this very relaxed person, but this is the way I am when I'm not raiding, basically. If you ever watched me during a progression raid or wherever in my guild before, you would know that occasionally I scream as well. And not scream. I don't know why anybody says screaming. But I raise my voice, and sometimes I insult people by accident. I've never done it, not once on purpose, but, by accident a lot, honestly, because people get really fucking frustrating. And when you're wiping to something that you shouldn't wipe to, it can be difficult to deal with mentally. So, and regardless, I have a very similar outlook on a lot of topics in this game with him. But what we came to realize was that he and I focus very differently on how a raid should be held. Not necessarily organized or executed, but he and I have very different goals for raiding. Let's put it that way. And I didn't realize that until very late last night. But so this all started. I think it happened on stream, so I might as well make it clear. So they found out that I was streaming. I think the 4th raid, right? So the 2nd week, the 4th raid total. So Sunday night of the 2nd week, they were like, hey, basically, we asked that you didn't stream, and you did. And I was like, I don't think so. But now maybe looking back, maybe they did. I missed it somehow. I don't know. But regardless, they were upset that I was streaming. So, I went in there with the GM and another guild organizer, a leader. I guess he's a IRL friend of the GM. And I told him everything about it, you know what I mean? And I think I laid it all out in a very reasonable way. I thought we were on the same page when it ended. I thought we all had agreed 100% that everything was cool. I basically, coming from my perspective, to this day, I still don't understand what the big fucking deal is. They said shit about, protecting the guilds, the players in it, they don't know they're being streamed, all of this shit. It's like, I guess you're right, man. I understand why people would feel this way. I'm not saying that, anybody who doesn't want to worry about this kind of stuff is illegitimate, but the way the guild was ran, and it's a private server, and it's just like I've never been in a situation where anybody wouldn't want streaming happen in their guild. And I think I explained that to them quite well. Like the Alliance Guild was basically only still working because I was streaming. A lot of people were coming in, watching the stream, learning from it, telling others about it, and the guild actually grew quite a lot from the stream. So I felt like, if anything, it was a benefit. But we ultimately agreed after that first meeting. They were a little bit skeptical, but the guild leader, he's the guy with the laws, so he said that everything was cool. I just have to follow a few rules, which I think I did ultimately end up following, and it went on from there. We streamed a couple more weeks, and then ZG happened last night. So this is a whole nother topic, basically. So I'm going to tell you guys exactly what happened here, okay? And I'll tell you what I meant by him and I differing, and I'll tell you exactly why that's a big issue. So we did the ZG last night. It's on stream. You can watch that. Unfortunately, it didn't go so well. It shouldn't even be surprising at this point, right? Like every group I've ever done ZG with on these servers always struggles on the bat boss. So I shouldn't even be fucking surprised by this. But it's the way they react to the wiping is what gets on my nerves a little bit, because first of all, this is an off night raid. People are here on nights that they didn't sign up for. And it's not like it fucking matters, right? It's a video game. If you come to a raid, you better expect that the raid is going to happen, right? But the way I like to treat off nights in my main guild is I don't ever, like, if any off night happen, I'm basically not the same person. You know what I mean? If I'm raiding on an off night, I barely speak because I do not want to trigger or upset anybody or make it seem like it's too stressful. But it's a fucking off night. You don't even have to be here. So there's no point in bragging on people, right? But the people who were leading the ZG, one of them was the guy I was speaking about before, not the GM. No, he did not come. They were basically not, like, they were taking it so fucking serious, it's just hard to even care. Let me put it that way, okay? I'll try to be respectful where I can, but this is fucking embarrassing, guys. It's absolutely fucking embarrassing what we're doing. We're wiping to a boss, and I don't know why. I mean, we could have killed that bat boss, right? And here's the answer. It's overtuned. That's what one of the guys said. Now, granted, not the guy who's in a leadership role. This guy is just like a raider, I guess. Maybe he's been here for a long time. I don't know much about the guy. But he's like, this is so overtuned. Let's move on. It's like, dude, can we just be normal? Can we just not fucking be stupid for once in this guild? Can we actually take responsibility and not just yell all day? And that it's really difficult to sit through that. You know what I'm saying? But overall, things went, well enough. It wasn't like anybody was screaming at the top of their lungs at shit. But it's like a mistake gets made and everybody just starts getting super fucking upset. And there's people typing, being upset, and there's nonsense happening in the raid. And it's just not very well done, okay? And on top of that, the GM just refused to go. All right. So I'm going to tell you now why I think, this whole thing, we differ very greatly on this. So just about 4 hours prior to that ZG run, he had called me aside and he'd said, listen, we got to talk. I basically found out that you're not using any consumables. This is only a problem because you're streaming and, you're advertising that you're not using any consumables. And that looks really bad because now other members of the guild have come to me and said, well, I'm not going to use any consumables if this guy doesn't have to. And he says he doesn't have an answer to this. So, we had a great conversation about this. Like I said, I really love this guy. I really do. I think he's an awesome guy. I have absolutely nothing against him. A lot of people will target him and say he's the reason I will leave. And I promise you 100%. It has nothing to do with him. Even down to the end here, he was on my side and taking a logical stance on this whole topic. But this was the one thing that I realized as I was talking to him, that this is the one thing we definitely don't have in common. And he's talking about this shit like, he's like, you definitely have to have a flask on. You definitely have to, he said, definitely for rag progression, definitely for, you should start using as many consumables as you can. Like, I think we talked about the mage blood pots but he's like, you definitely should get a flask. And I was like, dude, the flask is a fucking 150 gold right now. And there's only 4 on the auction house. If I bought all 4 of those, I would be down 600 gold and we might not kill any fucking bosses. What's the difference? I was explaining him, when I go it's my own mismanagement of mana, and there's already 50% overhealing. But basically he just said, no, you got to use consumables. You know what I mean? And I totally respect that position. I understand. The classic is that way in some cases. But I've cleared MC with 4 different guilds now, and I've never had any problems with consumables as a healer. The way most guilds that I've been in have approached it is the damage dealers and the tanks are the ones that need the consumables 100%. Any healer consumables is just a benefit, right? Because you can downrank your spells to fucking rank 1. You shouldn't go, I'm not good at the fucking game. Let's put it that way. I still don't know how to play that shaman. I could play it a lot better. So that 8 extra MP5 I'd get from Mage Blood pot that I would spend 50 gold on over the course of the night, probably not necessarily needed, right? But anyway, I should have known that there was going to be some problems when, he was just adamant on using, stuff for basically trivial content. Content that is, I think I said this to him, content that had been nerfed 5 times by the time we're playing it in this patch 112, right? And then ZG comes around, which, in my opinion, now maybe, we have all have differing opinions on it. ZG has more, better gear than actual MC in it. I would rather do ZG every 3 days than MC twice a week. Absolutely. Because it has the potential to give the best gear. It's better than, other than Rag and Domo. There's no, MC gear is a joke. And it only drops 2 fucking pieces for 40 players. So I was like, great, here we go. We're going to get some gear out. And this isn't a knock against him, but then he's like, well, I don't want to go. And his reasoning was basically, I don't like doing it. And, there's someday I'm going to have to do it, but I don't want to do it. I hate doing it. And it's like, in the back of my mind, I was like, dude, we just had the same fucking conversation about consumables, right? I literally told you, I hate doing it. I'm not going to do it. And you're like, well, you got to do it. I'm going to have to see you. So I understand it's an off night, and I understand not everybody wants to raid on off nights, but that alone, really should have told me something there. But that aside, that really has nothing to do with it. The main thing that happened was at the end of the raid. And like I said, just a differing approach on what competitive content is. So we're doing the fucking Raptor boss, all right? And they want to do this strategy, which they think is an exploit. In my opinion, it is not. It has been done this way for fucking 12 years now. Literally, I've done it this way on live hundreds of times. We used to farm this boss in ZG. This is the most recollection I have of it. I'm fairly certain we did it back in actual Classic and on Silverhand and, when I was raiding there. But we did it all the time in TBC, every single time. Me and Rusty used to go and 2-man that mount in TBC at the end of TBC and into Wrath. And we did it this way every single fucking week. Literally every single fucking week. And at the time, I didn't even think it was an exploit, But, their stance was, it's definitely an exploit because the boss can't target you. And I was like, all right, you're right. You're right about that. But I never thought that this would be an issue. And they're saying well, we asked you to stop streaming. First of all, I'm going to have to rewatch the VOD because I don't know when they did that. I guess they did it in the raid chat, but I was listening to the comms, wasn't really reading the chat because it was to be honest, let's be fucking serious here. There was some fucking idiot just basically every time anybody would make a mistake, some person would just type a bunch of fucking nonsense in the chat. And it starts to get a bit annoying, okay? So this is what I'm talking about. These are the big problems with this guild. They're taking this shit so fucking serious that they're worried about me streaming an exploit, which isn't even a fucking exploit. You know what I mean? Basically getting all bent out of shape because of this. And we can't kill a fucking boss in here. We spent 4 hours in there. We killed one fucking boss. You know what I mean? So it's I have a bit different priority than this guild. There's no doubt about that. They're a little bit more worried about appearances, a little bit more worried about structure. And at first I thought this was going to be good, but it just doesn't translate to the schedule they're looking to keep here. They're looking to basically be 4-night-a-week guild. You know what I'm saying? But they only raid 3 fucking hours a day on Saturday and Sunday. And it's a bit difficult to sit there and realize that level of poor play is also being followed up by all kinds of insults. And ultimately, that's what it came down to. I tried to, you guys saw the end of that previous stream there where the guy literally was in fucking Discord still, but now he's in the officer chat of the TeamSpeak, and he's got the same push to talk button. So, or maybe he doesn't even have push to talk on one of them, I don't know, but he's basically talking about me to the GM, insulting me, saying, I think, I told this Metro kid, and all this stuff about streaming, this is the dumbest shit ever. You got to be an idiot or something like that. Basically insulting my intelligence, right? Now, you know me, I'm somebody who, whatever, I'll brush off a lot of insults, like I said. So I went in there and I was like, listen, we got to talk about this because, I ended the stream and I said, we got to talk about this because this isn't something I'm going to allow one way or the other. So I went in there hoping to have a civil conversation and, to talk about it in a timely manner in a way that, would get this resolved. But, even though, like I said, the GM took my side on it quite heavily, I said, this was my point. Their points were, why would you even do it, basically? Why would you even stream it? It's an exploit. You're going to get us banned. And I said, guys, listen, it's not a fucking exploit. Even if you think it is, it's not going to ban. You're not going to get banned, okay? I have done this dozens of fucking times. I recorded it and streamed it dozens of fucking times. You're not going to get banned, okay? And I said, well, if you're this worried about it, if you're this upset, because I can't convey, I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't leak this type of thing that was said in confidence. But they were really fucking upset about this. Like, to the point where they're, what a surprise, insulting me to my face about it, okay? Saying I'm stupid and not, like, I can't remember what the fucking word was. I'm pretty sure he called me a window licker, all right? And not the GM, right? The other individuals involved in this. And it's like, what are you talking about, dude? You're not going to get fucking banned for this. If you're this worried about this, like to the degree that you're willing to insult a raider, when last week we had 34 fucking players, you're willing to risk me not being satisfied with this whole guild because of this. Why don't you just not fucking do the strategy? You know what I mean? That's what I said to them. And the GM heavily agreed. He's like, oh my God, yeah, you seriously, why would you do it if you're this worried about it? There was exploits on previous servers and we skipped them and all this stuff. And all the while, they're still like, well, yeah, I guess you're right. We shouldn't have did it, but he still shouldn't have been streaming it. So I said, you're right. I 100% agree. You don't have to defend me streaming it. Clearly, streaming is a point of contention in this guild. And frankly, I didn't say this to them, but like looking back at it, frankly, we have differing goals for this guild. They claim they want to be serious and clear everything, but honestly, I don't see how. I mean, they've taken their characters so serious and neglected everything else. The fact that you can't kill more than one boss in ZG in 4 hours is just absolutely pathetic. It really is. I'm not even going to fucking pull my punches here. I've been in pugs that clear the whole fucking thing in 4 hours, so it's just whatever. You don't have to have gear. You don't have to have anything. You just have to know what the fuck's going on. Bat boss is a fucking hard-ass boss. I don't give a shit what you do. If you've never done it before, if you have people who aren't up to gear, you don't go there fucking first when you know you're not going to clear the whole thing. And I'm just not going to take that lying down, guys. There's one thing that I won't tolerate, and it's hypocrisy. And like I said, the thing about using the N-word the way they use it and as feverishly as they use it, that's hypocrisy. And that doesn't really bother me because it's not affecting me, it's not insulting me. But I should know from the get-go that level of hypocrisy is rampant within the guild. And it's one thing when you're in the raid, wiping to something and you're getting called out for it. But it's another thing when you hear somebody who just has an absolute lack of respect for me. Just an absolute lack of respect. And it's an embarrassing level of lack of respect, right? This guy called me a kid, right? Which, whatever. It's your generic nonsense. But, like, you've watched me. I'm not a child, okay? So why do we have to say that? What's the point? And then I'm in there, and they're insulting me while I'm in there, talking to me and calling me a fucking idiot and a window licker and shit. And I even said, I was like, dude, why do you have to insult me over this? You know what I mean? I give my points. They're bitching about not having the chat covered. I laid that out. They can't even understand why I do it. But it's whatever. I understand. I am fully complacent and aware of all of the complaints, all right? I'm sorry. And they're still insulting me. It's like, dude. So I blew up. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I fucking blew up. I told this guy to eat a fucking dick because anybody who is gonna insult my intelligence when they are fucking doing it in a chat that they don't even realize they're in, right? Like, this guy was insulting me, calling me an idiot when he doesn't even realize he's still in Discord. Like, let's just drop the mic there, man. Fuck that. You know what I mean? I have nothing against the guild, nothing against the leadership, but holy fuck, is it difficult to stomach that level of nonsense and hypocrisy. So let me put it this way, man. I'm leaving that guild because there's just one too many fucking cooks in the kitchen there. I really enjoy the guild leader. He's an awesome guy. And I told you right now, I would still, if he was the only one involved in this conversation, there never would have been a conversation. But everybody else just takes themselves a little bit too serious. So I'm sure some of them have watched this. And I apologize, I apologize for how things went down. I did not mean to blow up. And I'm telling you, it's nothing personal. It really isn't. You guys were all awesome. The guild was quite a fun thing to be a part of. But if you're going to take yourself that serious, you might want to lay off the insults. Frankly, you're dealing with somebody who was rated in every single tier from the start. I know not everybody knows that or cares, but I've been around the block. I know what is and isn't an exploit, and frankly, I had 102 fever last night at 2 a.m. and we were wiping for 4 hours in ZG. I don't give a fuck what you have to say. If you want me to take it serious, let's not fucking wipe for 4 hours in ZG and bitch about why we're wiping. Let's take ownership and responsibility like you're expected to do in the main raid, the main progression raid, and actually kill the boss in one fucking pull. And we still wiped even though we're exploiting, all right? Let's put that out there. You guys didn't watch that stream? We fucking wiped even though we were exploiting, okay? So that tells you a lot about the guild situation. And ultimately, that's the main reason I'm going to leave it. Because basically, one guy insulted my intelligence when doing what I consider to be the dumbest thing I've ever seen in the game. And I even said this to the guy. I've been playing this fucking game. I've been raid leading this game for a long fucking time. Over 8 years now. And that was still the dumbest thing I've ever seen in this fucking game. And that's that. So, what does this mean for going forward? Unfortunately, we talked about this yesterday live as well. This is not going to be another video about drama, but the drama is still something that's in the back of my mind. I even spoke to the guilds about this, as it was happening, and yesterday especially. It's just something that makes me very uncomfortable playing here, honestly, because the population is too it's too important. It's way too important to just have like whatever happen and still be fine with it. So yeah, I don't know. Yesterday while we were live, we talked a lot about playing Legion. So once again, I'd like to remind you guys of One Legion TV. If you don't know, I've not ever unsubscribed from Live WoW, even though I've been playing Classic, and I'm not somebody who hates Blizzard or hates World of Warcraft or whatever the fuck people do on these servers. But yeah, so I think we're just going to be streaming it a lot more. It's not going to happen here, okay? It's going to happen there on One Legion TV. It's the name of the YouTube channel, so check it out. But it would be awesome. I know a few of you guys have come forward and said, like, listen, I don't even watch the video game that you're playing. I literally found out that you're streaming and I listen to you. That's it. I don't even watch. I don't even play WoW. Stuff like that. So if that's the situation you're in, that's fucking awesome, guys. I really can't express to you how awesome that makes me feel. But yeah, you can follow me over to One Legion TV, and hopefully I'll be able to find interesting things to stream and talk about in that game. I'd probably be a little bit less juicy because in Live WoW there's really not a lot going on. But yeah, maybe you'll get to meet some of the personalities in our guild as well and enjoy that. But anyway, in terms of actually playing Classic, I'm definitely going to spend a lot more time on my Paladin. I'll probably still try to spend some time. I definitely would like to tank a little bit more on Horde. I still have that Warrior that I wouldn't mind working on. I'll probably try to buy some the last few BOEs on both my Paladin and my Warrior, and that'll be like the bulk of the content. But yeah, unfortunately, I'm just done raiding, guys. I've been through 4 guilds now on these servers. This is the two that you saw publicly, and then 2 prior, the old NOS. And every single time, it's just like I just can't identify with these people. There's always something stopping me from enjoying my time there, or stopping them from being legitimate, So I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. Even when there's 1 or 2, it's just 40 man is just a fucking breeding ground for AIDS. Honestly, is the big issue. Like Classic was awesome. There's a lot. I love the 40 man concept, but it's so difficult to find 40 people who all have a like mind. And even in this, I thought this was going to be the best situation because it seemed like a good 25, if not more, of these people already knew each other, and it's like, all right, these guys are legit. They're gonna get it done no matter what. But all it takes is just one person. It's just I don't know. I guess I have a clashing personality in some ways, so it's no surprise that it didn't work out with that situation. But anyway, I just like to take a moment to thank you guys for your patronage. If you watch this whole video, you guys are awesome. Thanks a lot for listening to me and supporting me. You guys make me feel awesome. So we'll see you guys. I'll definitely be streaming again one way or the other. I'm not I'm not quitting Classic. It's hard to actually say. Anyway, I'm not quitting Classic WoW. All right. I'm gonna try to stick it out as hard as I can, but I just don't see myself raiding here like regularly with the guild anymore. But anyway, that's that. See you guys in the next stream or video.